Welcome to Japanese from Zero. We are going to now, this is the second lesson, the second video of lesson 12. It is time and location particles, and this is what I think is the light bulb moment. The entire lesson itself, lesson 12, is for me the best, biggest lesson in the book, even though there's one more lesson following, because this is where we finally get to use all of that stuff that we've learned. We need to know time and location particles in this one, and that's what we're going to do. And you need to know all the hiragana, and you do. You forget every now and then, but most of the time you know it. And that is an accomplishment beyond anyone that you know, for the most part. Once you start speaking Japanese, you'll meet other people that speak it, and you'll start going, oh God, I'm not as good as that guy, or that guy's better. But honestly, you're better than 99% of the people that ever started Japanese, because they don't get past this. So we need to know two new particles, okay? New particles. The first particle is a location marker, and there's two versions of it. There's ni and e. That is written as he. This is just like wa is written as ha. This is the only other hiragana that does it. It's written as he, but it's pronounced e. Don't accidentally say he, that would be embarrassing. Both of them can mean to, on, or in. Okay, actually, let me make a small correction, because e is never normally on. It's normally to, only to. So we'll talk about that in just a second. So there's two location markers, and you're going to hear a variety of things. You're going to hear some people say, ni and e are basically interchangeable. Sometimes they are. Sometimes ni and e are completely interchangeable. But they're not always interchangeable. That is a novice way of saying it. There are times where you absolutely cannot use e. You can always use ni. You cannot always use e. Now, the official thing that e does is it's used to mean towards a direction, like towards the north, towards Tokyo. It's when you're heading to this large general area, you're going to use e. And when you're going to a specific area, you're going to use ni. And later on, when we learn how to say, like, the cat is in somewhere, then it's always going to be ni. Or when you say, put it on the table. When we're talking about more location-specific things that are small locations and not big locations, it's always going to be ni. Now, because I want you to foster the habit of using ni more than e, even though Japanese do mess this up and they use e when they're talking about a specific location, that's okay, and that's where people think that they're interchangeable. I want you to say ni more than e until you're comfortable with what e does. Okay, let's see how it works. So ni marks a location. It can mean to, on, or in, or at. Wait, in, on, or at, or to, depending on what you need in English. It really doesn't matter. In English, whatever sounds better is what you use. In Japanese, it's always ni. And it comes after the location. So for example, どこに行きますか? どこに行きますか? To where are you going? Where are you going? どこに行きますか? And you'll notice, 東京に行きます. This is great. I didn't even tell you how to make the questions yet. When we did that last lesson, we just learned ikimasu. We didn't do ikimasu ka. But because you know what the particle ka does, you know that it makes a question, you probably didn't even need to be told what that meant. どこに行きますか is naturally understandable. That's amazing. It gives me chills. 東京に行きます. And you also know, I don't have to say, あなたはどこに行きますか? Not required, because I know who we're talking about. It's you. And I don't have to say, 私は東京に行きます, because I know it's me. The topic is understood. The only people that do that, honestly, are foreigners. Foreigners like to do what they do in English, and it's wrong. In Japanese, it's just not done. What if you're going to school? 学校 is school. 学校. 学校に行きます. 学校に行きます. There's actually a Japanese TV show called 学校へ行こう. Let's go to school. It's informal let's go form, which we're going to learn in book 2. 学校へ行こう was the name of a really, really funny show. But it's kind of wrong. It should be 学校に. Okay? In my mind. I mean, I'm a little bit of a stickler for that sort of thing. But Japanese, again, they mix that up all the time. We're talking about going to a place. They do mix ni and e up. Okay, let's look at the next question. I think all of them are going to pop out at once here. Here we go. どこに行きましたか? Think about that for a second. どこに行きましたか? Mashita is past tense. It makes it went or did go. So, どこに行きましたか? Where did you go to? So nice. Where did you go to? That's just nice. Oh, I went to my friend's house. 友達の家に行きました. Say that right now and tell me that doesn't feel good coming off your tongue. 友達の家に行きました. 友達の家に行きました. Sounds so Japanese. 友達の家に行きました. You gotta be proud. That just sounds like you're saying, it sounds like it's from a movie. どこに行きましたか? 友達の家に行きました. Alright? What if you went to Chicago? シカゴに行きました. Now, we don't know hiragana. I mean, we know hiragana. We really know it well. We don't know katakana yet, so that's why Chicago, which would be written in katakana because it's a foreign origin word, that's why it's still written in Romaji. シカゴに行きました. I went to Chicago. How would you ask somebody, did you go to Chicago? Just add a ka. シカゴに行きましたか? シカゴに行きましたか? All right, let's look at the next question. 京都に来ますか? The only person that can say 来ます is the person at the location. Just like English. If I said to you, when are you coming? Where am I? I'm at the location you're coming to. Because then your response is, oh, I'm going to go soon. When are you coming? I'm going to go soon. Right? Same thing in Japanese. 京都に来ますか? Maybe you're talking to a friend on Hello Talk, that app where you can meet Japanese people and practice your Japanese all the time for free. Go get it. You're going to Japan and they live in Kyoto and they want to meet you. So they say, 京都に来ますか? You could say, yes, I'm going. Yes, I will go. はい、行きます. はい、行きます. No, I'm not going. We're just using the grammar we already know, right? いいえ、行きません. いいえ、行きません. Okay, so we learned the location particles ni and e. Now we're going to learn a completely new particle that marks time. Guess what? It's ni. You could imagine that ni just does all those things. It marks time and location. But I like to think of it as a separate thing. So we introduce it as a separate thing. Okay? Because it can be in a sentence twice. Once it comes after the location, once it comes after the time. A time can be a month, a day of the week, a date in the month. Okay? So it is, and it could be even actual time, like that would be on your watch. Okay? And it means in, on, or at, whatever the English requires. It's the English that makes all these different versions. Japanese has one. So for example, you could say at 3 o'clock, on Monday, in November. Okay? It doesn't matter what the English needs, just use it. Okay. All right. Let's see how we can use it. Remember, it has to come after the time. 何月に行きますか? 何月に行きますか? What month are you going? Maybe they're going to Japan. And your friend wants to know. 何月に行きますか? On what month will you go? 6月に行きます. 6月に行きます. Oh, by the way, remember, it's not 行きます. You just sound like you have attitude. 行きます? 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 You'll see that in anime. Anyone that has attitude does that masu thing. そうです. はい. はい、そうです. You're not going to have attitude. 6月に行きます. I'm going in June. Okay, so let's say you're coming back to America, okay, talking to your mother, and your mother randomly happens to be Japanese. She's going to say, what day of the week are you coming back? Because she wants to plan picking you up. How would you say, on what day of the week are you returning? No one in the stream has it yet, but there's kind of a delay. We'll see. So it is 何曜日に帰りますか? 何曜日に帰りますか? Remember, it's not 帰り, it's 帰. A lot of people say 帰り, 帰り, but it's 帰り, 帰り. It's a little bit subtle sound there. 何曜日に帰りますか? 多分月曜日に帰ります. I mean, you probably have tickets, so you wouldn't actually say maybe. But here, for some reason, we're not sure. 多分月曜日に帰ります. Maybe or probably I'll return on Monday. Okay? What if you are waiting for a Japanese exchange student to visit you in America? They stayed at your house a few years back, and now they're just revisiting your new home, and you're like, hey, when are you coming? When are you coming? This one's tricky. I'm not going to lie. You probably will get this wrong. It's いつ来ますか? There is a rule. You can never have ni after いつ. Ever. You just can't do it. It's like saying to when. To when are you coming? That makes no sense, right? We don't ever say that. We just say when are you coming? So it's never いつに来ますか? It's いつ来ますか? Nothing in between. いつ来ますか? All right? So if you're going to go, what is this? We learned this a couple lessons back. 来週の金曜日に行きます. Nice. We're using all of our grammar. It's so sweet. We had a plan coming to this point. Now we're using it. 来週の金曜日に行きます. 来週の金曜日に行きます. What does that mean? I'm going Friday of next week. Or I'm going next Friday. For those of you who got it, I mean, hats off to you. You guys are totally kicking it. And you must feel really good right now. And I know, there's some people, there's a guy in the yesjapan.com chat room, and his parents think that Japanese is a devil language. I forgot the guy's name, and I apologize, but his parents think Japanese is the devil language. And I guess he's from Lebanon. I don't know why they would think that, but unfortunately, that's a problem for him. But you know what? I'm proud of you. I will be your surrogate father. I'm going to say, I'm proud of you. Because your actual parents, they're just a little bit misguided. They don't know. I promise you, if you get good in Japanese, there will be opportunities that that won't be available to other people. Because let's say that you're great at computers and you go to a company and there's 4 other people that are great at computers. And they're like a trading company, but you're great at computers. All of you are great at computers. But let's say you're not even the greatest at computers. And then on your resume it says fluent in Japanese. They're going to choose you. Because you have something that other people don't have. Japanese by itself is not great. Computers by itself is not great. Together, that's golden. And if you come into the chat room, or you ask other people, you come into the chat room on Yes Japan, or you ask other people that have succeeded in Japanese, I promise you they will say, Japanese has been a great thing for me. So if your parents are against you, and you came this far, I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of everyone that got to this point. All right? You're going to go somewhere, and I want to know on what day of the month are you going? Because I want to plan to take you to the airport, maybe. Okay? So I'm going to say, on what, or let's just say, you know what, let's change it up, because I realize that my answer is different here. On what days do you go to yoga? There's a yoga place in Australia, run by one of our admins on the Yes Japan chat room, Matsuendra. So let's say I'm asking my friend, what days of the month do you go to yoga? It's, what is it? 何日に行きますか? And by the way, I could say, 何日にヨガに行きますか? I could say that. On what days of the month do you go to yoga, yoga ni, right? 何日に行きますか? Now we're going to use the other grammar that we learned. We're going to use the and grammar, right? 1日と15日に行きます. Now notice that here, I didn't ask a future question. I didn't say, when will you go? I said, what days do you go? It's a present ongoing thing. Okay? So 1日と15日に行きます. I go on the 1st and the 15th. Pretty sweet, right? It's not that hard. When you have all the parts in your brain, it naturally makes sense. Okay, now let's just to spice it up a little bit. Let's put a little bit different grammar here that we haven't used yet. How would you say, hey, who came? Like, you were in the other room and you heard, and then your wife goes upstairs and you're like, who came? I said, who came? Who came? But say it nicely. 誰が来ましたか? I know it's not on the screen, by the way. I'm holding out. 誰が来ましたか? 誰が来ましたか? 田中さんが来ました. Okay? My order is all wrong. Like, everything's going to pop up on the screen next. I didn't do this PowerPoint good. I didn't do it properly. Okay, so actually, I'm going to fix it because I like the dramatic. I want it to show up properly. 水曜日に広島に行きます。水曜日に広島に行きます。This isn't a question or anything like that. We're just showing all of the cool things that we can do now that we know the grammar. So I'm mixing time and location together. 水曜日に広島に行きます。On Wednesday, I'm going to Hiroshima. Hiroshima is a beautiful city. If you go to the Peace Memorial Museum. You'll never support dropping a nuclear bomb in any time. I used to think it was a good thing that we dropped it because it was a small one and the world needed to learn about it. But once I had been to the History Museum, the Peace Memorial, and you see the horrors that, I mean, plan to spend the day, but it's like 50 cents to get in, by the way. They make it very cheap, but it's devastating to go in there. And it makes you realize that there is never a good reason to drop a nuclear bomb. There's probably never a good reason to drop any bomb, to be honest with you. 水曜日に広島に行きます. I will go to Hiroshima on Wednesday. Okay, what about this next one? A little bit more advanced. 先月の21日にカナダに行きました. Can you say that? Try it. I'll let you read it. Pretty good. 先月の21日にカナダに行きました. I went to Canada on the 21st of last month. I want to point something out too. The longer the sentence gets, this technique works fairly well. So in English, everything in the sentence was completely backwards. I went to Canada on 21st of last month. Completely reversed. So when I did a lot of document translation and they had these big sentences that I would sometimes get lost in what they were trying to talk about, these tech manuals that I used to translate, I would just start from the back. Normally the topic is in the very beginning, and then blah, 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 and then the verb, you go all the way to the back of the sentence, blah, 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 does X, Y, Z to the blah, 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 and the blah, 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 at the blah, 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 when blah, 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 blah. And it's all reversed. It's amazingly reversed. All right, here's a very big thing that you could say. And we haven't even done this yet. But you should know, with what you know, you could be able to figure this out. 来年の夏に東京に行きます。でも、沖縄には行きません. There's a word we've never used in the videos in here. And there's a double particle. We've never done double particle. We didn't know enough particles to do it. So let me read it again. 来年の夏に東京に行きます。でも、沖縄には行きません. You might never have seen the double particle, but the grammar you could figure out. You might be, a little bit of pulsing in your head to figure it out, but let's look at it. 来年の夏に summer of next year. Up until now, when we had 来年, we only did months. But you can put a season in there. 来年の冬, winter of next year. 来年の春, spring of next year. Okay? And because that whole thing is a time, you have to mark it with ni. Okay? Even if the English doesn't have in, on, or at, you have to have the ni there. Unless it's itsu, right? Remember, itsu can't have a ni after it. But a time is marked with ni. there is no rule that says there has to be an in, on, or at. Okay. 来年の夏に, you can think of that as during or on in summer. In summer of next year, 東京に行きます. I will go to Tokyo. でも, but 沖縄に to Okinawa は emphasize. But to Okinawa, 行きません. I'm not going to go. That's what that does when you have a niwa. And that's not taught in the book, by the way. That's only something you can get from this lesson. So write it down in your notes. But when you have the double, when you have a wa following another particle, it can't happen. You can't do it like you can't have wa after a ga. You can't have wa after an o. Whatever, most of the particles we know, everyone except for ni, you can't have a wa after it. Okay? You can do this with time, and you can do this with location. Oh, and by the way, it's really interesting. You can't have it after e. Even though everyone likes to say that ni and e are basically interchangeable, I mean, some people just flat out say, oh, they're the same thing. They're not. Because you cannot say ewa. I don't think I've ever heard it. It always becomes niwa. All right, so that's it. I'm not going to Okinawa. By the way, I've never been to Okinawa. Oh, I'd like to have gone. I'll go eventually. Before my death in China, I'd like to go to Okinawa. Thank you for watching. The next thing that we're going to do is probably, unless I feel like we need one more video for 12, we're going to do lesson 13, which is the last lesson of course 1. Feel good. Do a review, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.